All right, let's start. So, hey, everybody. Today is the crash course for the Git. Yeah. So, we're going to walk through all the items related to the Git. And if you want to contact me or join my YouTube channel, you're going to see there's two QR code you can scan. And just let me know anytime if you want to talk to me. Okay, let's start. And so we going to walk through those topics on the screen. So we're going to explain the what's the Git basic and how we install locally and set up locally, and what's the core commands, and also the advanced Git techniques. And the last, we can practice something locally, and also you're going to see there's some reference document. So that's all. So first of all, Git basic. So what? So we go. So what is the Git? Somebody already heard of the name. What's the Git? Git actually is a distributed open source version control system that is very popular now in the world across all the companies. That is helping us tracking all the changes in the source code during the software development since 2005. So now is 20 years. And this is the distributed tools. And each the developer can clone the remote code repo to his local, and this also support the CLI and the UI. So CLI presents command line interface. So that means we can type in the commands, and also we can use the UI tools. And this is a powerful tools and has the branching and the merging functionalities. So that is very convenient for the integration on the development. And also these tools can track all the commits to keep the data integrity. And also you can backtrace to checking all the histories, right? So so this tools also has the keep the data in integrity and safe by storing them in the SHA -1 and hash format for safe reason, security reason. Okay, so this is the what is Git, and then we want to know why we're using the Git, right? So there's some reasons why we're using that. So first of all, the Git simplify the team collaborations. So all the developers can work independently in your local, and then they interact with the remote code repo in the distributed environment. And that is very convenient. And this is a kind of version control management system that enables everybody development in parallel. And also you can compare the code, trace back the code, and even you can reverting back your changes. And the system also keeping the code, your code is stable and safe. So this is a very high efficiency on the team development. And it's also powerful as the two features like branching and merging. So we're going to discuss the strategies for branching and merging later. And this also, the Git, there's a related tools like GitHub and Bitbucket and GitLab, right? So there's a very powerful workflow and automation make our project more efficiency. So the teams also can implement that workflow for the automations. For example, in the GitHub, we can create a GitHub action for the CI/CD process. So what is the CI/CD? Continuous integration and continuous deployment. So that means once you complete your code change and commit to the code repo, and your code need to be built, right? And then your code need to be deployed to the environment. So those process can be automation. So that means GitHub can help complete this task. So that is really powerful to improve the efficiency for the project deployment. So that's why we need to get to know that Git and learn how to use Git. So let's see what's the next. Let me see the next. Okay. So actually, regarding Git, there are some basic terms, or names we need to get familiar with. So first of all, you can see on the screens, there's some words. So what is the repository? So repository actually, in Git, we can divide into local and remote. And corresponding to Git, we also have something, the platform for the Git hosting as the remote servers. So we call those GitHub, GitLab, or Bitbucket. So when happen we have this. So sometimes so GitHub, that is very public things, and even a lot of open source is hosting your codes in the GitHub, and in the companies, across the companies, more companies using that Bitbucket. So Bitbucket and GitLab, but the Bitbucket is more market values. So they most of the company using that Bitbucket, and similar to the GitHub, they have similar features, functionalities, but they remote hosting your code and based on the Git, right? So we're going to get to know more about this later, and and our code, once we are uh, you know we have our code in locally, but in order to push to the remote, we had to stage our code. So so when we so once we state the code, then we can commit the code to our local repo. And after that, we're going to push our code to the remote repo. So that is a term called state. So we push we first of all we put our code into the staging area and index them on the code, and then we commit code. Once we have the commit, we can track the code, right? We can checking the history and comparing the code. And by default, we have a main branch. And in the real environment, enterprise level environment, we probably have multiple branches. For example, when we do the development, most of the time we're working on the feature branch, right? So once we commit the code to the feature branch locally, then we need to push the code to remote. So once we but by default you know implicitly we're not giving the branch name, but by default that is main branch. So that's why we had a term called branch, right? So we probably will have multiple branch. So when some other developers has something changed on the remote repo, then you're going to pull back to your local, and possible you're going to merge with your code. So that is we're going to use that merge, right? And also the pull. Pull is from the remote to local. That is download the code, and the pulls is upload to the remote. And when we push to remote, so by default, our remote is the same branch on the repo, and the remote repo we normally call that a region. So that is uh, implicitly we didn't tell the remote repo. So we just a very short command saying that git push, right? But actually they are pushed to the origin code repo. And sometimes if you want to push the specific one, you need to explicitly to push a region and plus the repo name. Okay, so that is what's the repo, what's the origin, yeah. And sometimes you know, in the company, we not we normally not directly to commit our code to the main branch. We working on the feature branch. So we need to push our code to the feature branch and push to the remote. And in the GitHub or Git Bitbucket, we're going to create a pull request. A pull request, we search for PR. So once we create a PR, and your tech lead or the uh, your peer developers can view your code. So that's we have the code review, right? Once code review done, we you are be able to merge your code. Yeah, so that means once they approve your code, and once the code review, and then you can merge your code to your from feature branch to main branch. So that's why we have a PR, pull request. So generally, those are all the basic commands regarding to Git. So maybe later we're going to take a chance to practice. And next, so I want to say uh, what's the difference between Git and GitHub, GitLab, and even the Bitbucket? So here is showing a lot of information comparing those things. So generally, Git actually is a, a tool. So this is the tools. Normally, it's in your local. You're using the command line to operate your code to commit your code and to your local repo, and then you push your code from local to remote. So those you handling your code with the Git, which is tools. And the other things for the other three things, they are platform. They are hosting remotely for your Git code repo. So what we can see from here, this different things, right? So local, we can just initialize your project repo locally, but this is not for the GitHub, right? And you can commit your code locally with a Git, but not directly to commit to the GitHub, right? So you also can view the code from the web, but that means it's on the platform. It's not your local, right? Your local is just handling the code in the local repo, but not local. Your local is not a web, right? So here you can see clearly, and you normally will going to collaborate with remote teammates, and then you need a pull request or pull code and merging the code where the platform. So then you can see this is not a feature on Git locally, right? So the next you can see there will be a powerful tools for the CI/CD, right? So pipelines. So that is handling by the platform. So you're going to see now this is the platform and this is the tool. So that's the difference between these things, right? So okay, so now you understand about this. So move next, you're going to see what is the basic, very basic flow for Git. For example, this is your local code repo. You can see the master is master branch. So normally by default we have master or main. Some some company they using master, some they using main, but they refer the same thing, the master branch, the main branch, right? So here as an example, this is master branch, and then your work is here. You're working on the feature branch. Then you have something change. Then you going once you want to merge, then you merge back to the master, right? And here is somebody else work. Once they complete their code, they're going to merge to here too. So you eventually you can see the master is the main branch, right? They're going to see they can see all the commits here. They can tracking all the history from the masters, right? And the other two things is just a working branch, right? So that is the very basic flow. So next, I think we can get something locally. We can install the Git in our local, and you're going to see. First of all, we can download the tools from um, the website, right? So far, probably the latest version is 2.50, right? So once you download, you can install locally. You're going to install that with the administrator role and choose these things. Use Git and optional Unix and the tools from Windows. Then that will support both HTTP and OpenSS. And um, so let's see something like give example. So let me present something here. So here's the GitHub. So let's see some where's the let me see where's the Git. Okay, so when I click the code, I will see there's a green button here, right? So you're going to see there's a HTTPS and SSH. So here, normally, by default, we're using HTTPS. When we clone our Git repo from remote to local, then we using this, we copy this. We're using git clone and with this repo name. But there's another way to do it is using SSH format. So once if we're using OpenSSH, we in that environment, in the Unix environment, we can use this way to git to using this repo. We're using the SSH to git clone, right? So that is a different way. But by default, normally, most of the time we just using this way, which is more convenient. So that's me. Let me back to the lecture. So after that, then we'll be able to use it. But before that, we still need to do some configuration. You know. So first of all, let me see. For example, when I open a DOS window, when I open a DOS window like this, when I type in Git, let me verify the version. So we're going to see the version, but my version is not the latest one. But we still see that it's working. when you see this version showing on your screen, that means Git is working. And there's a two-way, right, to see that. First of all, using this one in DOS, or you can use another way is Git Bash. Once you install the app in your system, then you're going to see that is Git Bash. You can click the Git Bash. You can type in the Git version. Same thing. You can see the version, right? So this is the verify the Git. Then before you using Git, you have to configure a little bit. So you just using this command, So git config, and the following with this, you can use the global hyphen global user.name. So you're going to set up the username and the email for global. And why we're using global? So that will use for all the repos. If you ignore this, you're using the by default, that one user.name, that is only for your current repo. So that's better we're using the global one. So after you setting up that one, you can use more commands. Otherwise, when you run your command, you'll be asking to set up. Okay, so after that, another thing need to be mentioned. So this is a git ignore in your code repo. So once you init your project, you're going to see there's a file created called .git ignore. So this file contains some names, and those things is pointing out you're going to ignore these items, these files when you commit your code and push to the remote. So, for example, you have possible locally build your project with some artifacts, which is built up, generated, right? So those files are not part of your project. So in that case, you don't want to include those files or folders to push those items to the remote repo. So you're going to hiding those in this file. So that will be helping you to ignore those garbage files to push to the remote repo. Okay, so that's why we're using that. And let me see. Okay, so now we come to the second part. So this is our daily commands. So I think in this such the course we can thinking this way. Something we just we need we are good nice to know, right? Something is nice to know. Something is have to know, and something is better to know. For example, the things before some is just nice to know, but these things is that you have to know that because that is a daily work, your daily work, right? And especially the green color one is more high frequently used. So you're going to need to walk through everything and practice, and then you will be able to use Git for your project. And this things is frequently used. And let's start from the beginning. So normally once you first action, you probably will be asking by Git or GitHub, they're asking you to log in. So before that, you had to have an account, right? GitHub account. Then you will be logged in to GitHub. Then you can do perform those commands below, right? So for example, you If you don't have the remote repo yet, you just initial a project, you can use the command git init in the folder. Then the system will creating some configuration files. For example, the git config or git .git ignore something. Those files will be ready for you. And once you get init, then you will be able to run the other commands, right? Adding files, and then you can run the git add and these files. Then you adding this file to staging area. So this command helping you to adding your file to staging. So once you adding your file to staging, if you using the git status to check the files, you're gonna see the files becomes a green color. So before you adding, that is a red color, but after you adding that, it's become a green color. And then if you confirm you're going to commit it, then you can run this command, git commit -m, then adding your comments. So that will helping you to commit your code to your local repo. And if you want to check the logs, the histories, so then you can run the git log. So that will be showing all the histories. And so once you commit your code, you probably want to push your code to remote. Because this is the first time, right? The first time you git init. So that means we had to create a git repo in the GitHub first, then we can git push a region to your remote repo. We need to git the push origin and plus the branch name. So then we git push origin to push your code from local to remote. Okay, and if sometime before you are before you commit, you still can roll back your code. So after you git add, right? So you also can use this command, git restore, states, and with your file. So you can roll back your change if you feel something wrong, then you can run this command. And even you can run this command git diff by the name. So you can check the changes for your current change and the last commit. And if you join the team in the middle, if you join the team in the middle and you want to pull down the code from the remote, then you can using the git pull and git pull and with the branch name. So git pull origin or git pull branch name. So then you can download the code from the remote repo. And if some other developer has something changed, you pull to the local and there's some conflict or even no conflict, they can do auto merge by this command. You run the git merge with the branch name, then you merge the code automatically, or you need to manually. When there's some conflict, when you run the git merge, then you're going to see the file will be with a couple markers. Then you're going to fix the code, and then eventually you commit the code to complete all the merge. So that's called a manually merge. So those the basic things. And when you want to switch the branches between the branches, right? So you want to switch the branch between them, then you can run the git checkout. with the branch name. So then you can switch to the new branch. And before that, if you want to create a new branch, then you can run the Git branch with the name. So then you can create a new branch and working on the new branch. So when you create a new branch means the code is branch out from the main. That means at the moment, the codes are identical. So in your new branch and the main branch. And based on the new branch, maybe we call that is feature branch, you continue to work on your code, then you commit, and later you merge back to the main. Okay, so that is the flow. And this is the very basic and daily commands. Actually, that's all for the very common things. But there are also a lot of advanced techniques or commands. Let me move to the next. Let me see what happened. Okay, so this one also important page for for you. You know, this picture will help you to understand how Git work. So you can see it from the screen. Um, there is a thick dark pipe or lines, right? Vertical lines on left side and the right side. It's left is local repository and the right side is a remote repository. And on left side also divided by three parts. You can see the working area, staging area, and the real local repo. So this picture is really good and helping you understand how Git work. Let's start with the example is a Git pull. You can see when we pulling the code from remote to my local, this will do a lot of things. They will pull to your local and also they merge the code to the working areas. So you can see the git pull command actually equivalent to git fetch plus git merge, right? So that's why git pull is more efficiency, and git pull is very popular and frequently used. And for me, I think we not quite frequently to using git fetch and git merge manually, but there will be some specific case, and you in that scenario you need it, right? You don't want to merge right away, then you just git fetch. So most of the time we just git pull. And from a local, you can see once you have a new change, you git add, your code will be adding to the staging area first, not the local repo directly, right? So that is after the git commit, then your code moving to the local repository, right? And after that, you can perform the git push to the remote repo. So that's the steps, right? For the new change, new commit. And for the remote, first time to clone the remote. So you can see there's only one command, git clone from local to from remote to local repo, right? So then you also once git clone to my local, I want to switch the branch and I can git checkout, right? To check out to my working directory. So that is the very nice picture to showing how Git works. Okay, so then let's move to the next. And the next is, so this actually also very good to helping you to understand in the company, enterprise level, how they manage the Git repo and the branches. So this is a kind of branching strategy, right? So you can see in across the company, you're going to see we always have something like a main, release, develop, or feature branch. So what is the main? We already know that previously. Main like a master, right? Master. So the master branch or main branch is the baseline. And normally the developers will going to work on the develop branch. So the developer will complete the change on the develop branch, then they will merge back to the main branch. Oh, sorry. The develop branch is for the development, but the developer will not directly to work on the develop branch, release branch, and the main branch. They will directly to work on the feature branch first. So they working on the feature branch, they make the change, and then they will merge to the main branch. So this picture is not exactly quite clear because normally the feature branch will go merge back to the develop branch first. But this is a general flow. There's another picture will show subtly. There's a completely explain how the branching strategy, how the branching work. And this is just basically telling you this is the main branch and the feature branch, how they merge, right, to the main. And this is working in the all the companies. So that is the enterprise level. And let me move to the next. So this is just nice to have. It's not quite important. So we know normally we're using the git command, right, to handle those source repository. However, you also be able to using the UI tools like 1, 2, 3, 4. So those things also can helping you to perform those git commands. But this is not recommended because the reason is when you're using the git command, you can use commands anywhere they support command line, right? However, for UI, you can only use the UI where you install. And when somewhere doesn't install the UI, you will be unfamiliar, right? So that is the efficiency is dropped down. So I suggest better to get familiar the command lines, which is better. Yeah. So this is the tools. There's some tools, famous tools that's called the GitHub Desktop, and also the source tree. This is popular, right? And also in VS Code, they also has the Git extension. Also, is the UI interface, and even the IntelliJ also has the extension. So those are the tools. And let's move to next. So now we are going to see what is the advanced Git. So let's see. So here now, clearly you showing something about the branches. So what is the strategy for the branches? So generally it looks a little bit complicated, but let's explain one by one. So master, right? So see the master is the mainstream, the main line of the code. And normally in the company, we always has the release branch, develop branch, feature branch, and the master branch or main branch. But this is hotfix is specific. So we're talking about this later. And the developers not directly to commit the code to master, release, and develop. You can see developer in the company always working on the feature branch. When they working on the feature branch, make the change, then they later merge back to the develop branch. And where's the develop branch coming from? When we have the new release, we normally create we have the develop branch. the divided branch is branch out from the master. So you can see keep going. The divided branch most of the time is equivalent to master. And when we have a lot of commit, right, the feature branch will continue to commit the code to the divided branch. And the multiple developers will going to working on the feature branch and commit to the divided branch. And the divided branch will branch out to the release branch. For example, we're going to have the release recently. Then we need to branch out from the divided branch. Then we're going to release and deploy this commit, the code from this point. But however, at the moment, we found the bugs. We're going to fix the bugs from the release branch. Then we have more commits. Then we saw that one will be the final one. Then we merge back to the divided branch. However, this is not the final. Then they have another commit, and this one is the final. Then they commit. They merge back to both divided branch and master. So we call that sync, right? We sync the code to these two branches, and then this code release code will be deployed to the production environment. And later we'll have more change, or maybe we found something like another small feature need to be added, then they're going to have a new release. So they branch out another release, then make a change, then they merge back to both develop and master branch. So that is the general flow for the branching. And the special case, in the production, probably we have a hotfix. There will be, the developer will create the hotfix branch. Then they make some change, make some fix. Then they merge back to both develop branch and master. So this is something like a specific case. So from this picture, you generally understand how the branch and the branching working and what's the strategy for the branching, right? So this is the daily work in the company, IT company, okay? And basically, I think for the Git handling, merging, there's the first two will be very popular. So let's talk about that first. First one is fast forward merge. So you can see what is the fast forward merge. So based on this picture, you can see before that we have a feature branch, we have new change. But on the main branch, we don't have new change. We don't have new change. And then in this case, we can simply merge this change directly to main and will not generate a new commit. It's just moving this change, copy the commit to the main. So this is called fast forward. So once we switch to this branch, which git checkout to main, then we merge the feature branch to main. So using this command, git merge feature branch. And after the merge, you're going to see that commit from the feature branch copy over to the main branch and without creating a new commit. So that is called fast forward. That is the most simple one. A key point is there's no commit in the main before your new change in the feature, because that is straightforward. And this is the case number one. And let's see the case number two. The case number two is called the recursive merge. So recursive merge, if you see that the feature branch before, that is commit 1.3 file, and here is main is 2, 4. So this commit is based on the sequence. So we can see the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 based on this sequence, the timeline. So the recursive merge is merge the feature branch to main branch. When they merge from the feature to main, they're going to merge everything 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they need to create a new commit. So that's the feature. You can see that's the different from the fast forward, right? So they just commit a new, create a new commit. And this case is in the main branch. That's not straightforward because there's something other commits, right? But you just want to merge that one to the main. They're going to create a new commit. And this, if you see this picture on the top, you can see originally this is very like a fast forward commit because there's no commit before this yellow, the first yellow one, right? And actually, if we just perform the git commit command, they just simply merge that 3 commits to the main, the master, right? However, I forced this one to commit by another way is recursive or no fast forward. So they're using the hyphen no fast forward, right? So by this command, they will do the recursive way to create a new commit. So similar to the something below, right? So that is the two commit, two merging strategy. And those two are the popular. The more next is not quite popular, and we just good to know. Okay, so let's see what those the things. So the third one is the scratch merge, right? So the scratch merge, what's the scratch merge? So when we want to merge, you can see the commit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but on the branch, the feature branch, we have 3 and 5. When we want to git scratch merge, they're going to ignore, not ignore, they just merge this 3 and 5 directly to 6, but they not copy these 2 commits into the main. So that's called scratch. But if we don't merge with this hyphen scratch and branch name, then they're going to merge with the recursive approach. So that means if you want to scratch merge, you have to specify the command, right, with the hyphen scratch data at the branch name. So after that, you also need to commit manually. So git commit -m, then with the comments. So then you complete all the merge for the scratch, right? So this is the third one. So what's the next one? The next one also interesting. So they call the octopus merge. So what is the octopus merge? So they have a multiple branch. It looks like an octopus, right? So then once they merge, you're going to see the commit is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? That means 1, 2, 3, 4. They merge all the commits. They copy all the commits to the main branch and create a new commit. So that means this is called the octopus. And using the command by git merge -s, octopus, and probably maybe with the branch name. See the branch name. So 3 brands, right? So this ingest and the transformer and the load. So they Git merge these 3 brands into one, into the main branch. So then they eventually create a new commit and copy over all the commit. So this is called the octopus. But this is not highly used. So nice to know. Okay. And the last, I think we're going to see more commands that is also possible used. And yeah, there's some case, some other developer make some commits. That is what you need in your branch. So then you can use the cherry pick. So by the command git cherry pick and commit numbers, then you can pick up their commits from the other branch to your current branch. So this is called a cherry pick. This one is popular. And you also can use the other command called git stash. So this is a save the code. In this case, when you don't want the code merged directly to a code, you're going to git stash first. Then you merge, fetch, and then merge your code. Then you git stash pop your code to perform the merge. So that is a little bit complicated, but this is not popular, and just in some specific case, then you may need it. And for some case, you want to check all the has logs, right? For the latest commit, then you also can use this command, git ref log. And if we want to sync the code from the baseline, you can run this command, git rebase the branch. But this git rebase branch, if you don't have some new code, but you want to sync from the base, then you're good to run this command, git rebase. But however, if you have some conflicts with the base code, you will be carefully to run this because possible your code will be override. So Git rebase is not very popular. We probably seldom use that. And another thing is normally you're going to check your current branch is pointing to what remote branch. You can using this command, git remote -v. So then you can check the remote branch, the remote repo URL. And sometime you probably, once you complete a milestone, you probably need to create a tag on your code. So you can run this command, git tag, or git tag with the name, you're creating a tag, or git tag, you can list all the tags, or git tag, you can list all the pattern by the pattern. So that is just a group of commands that you can use. So yeah, so that is the very popular commands. And for Git branch, we also have these things. So we can create a branch, right? We're using the Git branch is the branch name. And we also can create a Git branch, initial a tag, or we can Git branch and with the name and the commit ID to tag the code. And also you can use the git checkout B to create a branch. And simply Git branch just showing all the branches. And if you run the Git branches hyphen show current, then just current branch. And if you want to check out that branch, switch branch, then you just keep Git checkout with the branch name. So you can see the Git on the right side, you can see what's the remote origin it looks like. So if you missing the remote pointer to pointing to which remote repo, you're going to run this command, git remote set URL origin, and with the git remote repo URL. And if you want to display what's the remote, you can run the git remote -w, and you're going to see the result like this. And then you will know this is the remote repo. Okay. So we can simply to see the rebate before and after. So before the rebate, you can see the feature branch is like this, right? So you're going to have, we have multiple commits after branch out. And once we rebate, we can see we rebate, we get everything from the main branch and into the feature branch. So here is also showing the difference between this merge, fast forward merge, and the non-fast forward merge. So see the fast forward merge, they just moving down, right? Moving down the commit to the main branch, fast forward and straightforward. And the no fast forward, they not moving down the commits, they just create a new. They make the new change cover all the existing commits from the feature branch. So this is non-fast forward. And the rebase is a sync the code from the branch, from the source branch to the target, right? So they sync. So that's the difference. And I think now is everything, all the knowledge we covered, but I think we probably need to practice a little bit. Then we will know what is really looks like. And then you also can check some documents